In this video, we're going to work on a ticket and leave a trail. As you work, mark off what you complete, leave a comment on the task itself, and record how much time it takes you. Up to this point, the ticket has been sitting still, waiting for someone to pick it up. You're going to take it on. To do that, we need to understand the difference between two things. The card you see on the board is a summary. It shows you the important information at a glance, but the real work happens inside. When we click on the card, the ticket opens up to the ticket details, which is where the task lives while you're working on it. Notice that at the top, there are several tabs. We'll go through the three that we use to work on the task: details, comments, and time tracking. The first thing we need to do when taking on a task is review what needs to be done. In the Details tab, you'll find the ticket description, and below it are the subtasks, which outline the specific steps to follow. Here's something worth knowing, because it isn't obvious. To mark a step complete, you don't need to edit anything. The checkbox is interactive, just as it is. Once you finish gathering the document, click it, and it's marked as done. And look at what happens on the outside. The card's progress updates automatically, without you having to do anything else. Your team can already see everything that's in motion and what's still pending, which is the benefit of having the steps written down. As I move forward, I'll continue marking these off. While working, questions and updates always come up, and that's usually the moment when everything gets sent to a chat and lost. That's exactly what the Comments tab is for. Write your message, click the Add Comment button, and it stays there with your name attached. For example, flagging something we found along the way. What matters isn't the comment itself, but where it lives, inside the task, not buried in a chat. Down the line, anyone who opens this ticket, even months later, will understand what happened and why, without having to ask a single person. There's one last thing that almost never gets recorded: time. Here in Qamaq, we do things differently, because you're not required to remember anything. However, for the automatic tracking to work, you first have to turn it on. And this is done only once per board. In fact, if you open the Time Tracking tab right now, you'll see it empty, because until you enable it, the clock never starts, and there's nothing to count. So let's go to Settings, enter Tracking and Estimation, and check the Enable Time Tracking option. And here's where the important part appears: the list of your columns, so you can choose which ones will be tracked columns. A tracked column is a column where time counts. When a task enters that column, the clock starts, and when it leaves, the clock stops. That's why you don't mark all of them. The question you need to ask for each column is simple. At this stage, is someone actively working on the task, or is the task waiting? Take a look at our board. To do is what hasn't started yet. Waiting on client is the task on hold, waiting for someone external. In neither of those columns is anyone actively working, so they don't count. Done means the task is already finished. The only stage where your team is actually engaged in the task is in progress, so that's the one we mark. Using these same criteria, you can choose your own tracked columns, whatever your workflow looks like. Then we check and leave the Auto Stop Timer option enabled, so the clock stops automatically when the task leaves that column. Click on Save Settings. Watch what happens right now. We drag the ticket to In Progress, and the timer starts automatically. You didn't press anything, and it's already counting live right there on the card. Two things are worth knowing. While your timer is running, everyone else can see on the card that you are actively working on it. This ensures no one duplicates the same task, and only the assigned person can move the ticket into that column, so the time is properly recorded under the name of whoever actually worked on it. Once the task is complete, drag it to Done, and the timer will stop automatically. Qamaq tracks the time automatically. When we open the ticket and go to the Time Tracking tab, we get a complete record of every work session and how long each one lasted. That's the core idea. A ticket isn't just a note with a name on it, it's where the work lives while you're doing it. Your progress, your comments, and the challenges you faced all stay in the same place. And that's exactly the trail you need to truly understand how your team works.